everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Coming Soon Movie News with Nicholson. I'm your host, and on this show, we're going to be breaking down all of the day's movie news and kind of giving a little bit of background into what it all means for the production in general, such as things like casting decisions, trailer releases, and director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get into the first topic. Now, this one's going to be a little bit weird. I don't really know how they're going to do it, but they've come out and said that they're going with it. Warner Brothers has just announced that they are moving forward with a live-action adaptation of the video game Minecraft. Now, for those of you who don't know what Minecraft is basically it's a 3D game with very, very low resolution for everything. Everything's about a foot by foot by foot block, whether it be any sort of rock or anything of that. And you basically mine through it, and you create different things. You can create literally anything. I love the game. I find it absolutely phenomenal. It's a great way to express your imagination, to build literally anything that you want to. A couple of my friends and I, at one point, we had a big open map, and one of them made almost a live action or a live scale replica of the Colosseum in Rome. I made the tower or the pyramids, the Great Pyramids. One of my friends made the Eiffel Tower. You can literally create anything that you want to. You mine anything, you create it. The thing is, though, that's the whole point of the game. That's it. You mine. I don't know how they can do it. I don't know what kind of story you can have and still call it Minecraft, unless it's literally just a guy mining. Now, the producers on this movie, the people who have optioned it, who are going to be headlining the movie and who are going to be making it, are the same people who have done the Lego Movie. Now, the Lego Movie was a little bit different. I love Lego Movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to go and see it. It's absolutely hilarious. It is one of the funniest movies I've seen in the past couple of years. Really got a lot of heart, great story to it. Just overall, really, really funny. The Lego Movie was different because they did it using Lego, and it was set in a Lego world. They've come out and stated that they have plans to do a live-action version. Apparently there's a lot of high-profile writers and directors who are very interested in getting in behind this property. But again, until we actually hear some more stuff about it, or at least what kind of direction they're going with, or at least until we see some photos, I have no idea how they're going to do this. I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. They're taking some risks, and I think that that's great, but I don't know how they're going to do it. But it's going to take some time, but what we do know is that the people behind the Lego Movie are going to be spearheading a Minecraft movie, a live-action adaptation of the video game Minecraft. So it's going to be a little bizarre, but I'll be there. I'll be one of the first people in line to check it out. I think it's got some promise, but again, no idea how they can do it. So hopefully we hear some more information about this soon. Like I said, they just optioned the rights, so we're probably not going to hear anything for another couple of months. I'm expecting a 2016-2017 release at the earliest for this, so we got a few more years to wait. Our next topic, this one's really intriguing. This is the first time in this franchise's history that this has ever happened. The writer and director team behind Skyfall, James Bond number 23, are teaming up again with Daniel Craig to do Bond 24. It's still untitled. We don't know what it's going to be called. We don't even really know what it's going to be about. But based on Skyfall, which to me was probably one of the best Bond films that they've ever done, and not only that, it was a great film. Everything about it, I felt, changed everything. It brought back a little bit of the gadgetry, but it didn't go to the campy levels that the Pierce Brosnan movies did, or that even like the Roger Moore movies did, or the Sean Connery movies did. It brought a lot of the suaveness back, which I really liked. So Sam Mendes returning to direct. That was up in the air for a while. We didn't quite know if he was going to do it, but now he's confirmed to come back. John Logan, who wrote Skyfall, is coming back to write this one. And obviously Daniel Craig is returning. But this is the first time in franchise history that a writer-director team have continued to the next chapter. It's always generally been a different director. Sometimes directors have come back. I'm forgetting his name. The director of GoldenEye actually came back. So GoldenEye was a reinvention of the series. If you remember back, the last movies before that were the Timothy Dalton Bond movies, and they were seen a little bit too dark. But with with GoldenEye, GoldenEye reinvigorated that series. It was a bombastic action film, great storyline, great villain, everything that we wanted to see from a Bond film. And then Pierce Brosnan's movies kind of went the old campy, corny way. So he came back and he directed Casino Royale, which again it reinvigorated the series. It was a different tone, a completely different style of movie. It was more character based than it was action based, but it still had some really great action sequences. So that was the last time that a director in this series has ever come back. So seeing a director of Sam Mendes's caliber coming back to direct another Bond film, I am ecstatic about this. I cannot wait to see some footage about this. But Ralph Fiennes, who played Mallory in Skyfall, who is now, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Skyfall, I'll let you turn away now if you don't want to hear anymore. But his character Mallory became the new M. And he has come out and stated that they have plans to start filming in October. Now, we don't know any word, again, we don't know any word about the plot, we don't know any word about the villain. All we know is that the same creative team behind Skyfall, one of the best Bond films, if not the best Bond film that's ever been made, are returning to do the next one. We know that Daniel Craig is signed on for 2 more Bond films. So he's got this one plus 1 more. He could re-up and sign up for another couple of films. I don't think he will. That'll put him at 5. So I don't know if he would. He's getting to be a little bit older, and I don't know if story-wise they want to keep telling the quote-unquote origin of James Bond with an older James Bond. They may want to go a little bit younger again and recast. A lot of people have been talking recently that the next James Bond could end up actually being a black man, a black actor. And a lot of people said, well, do you have a problem with Idris Elba, for instance, being cast? And no, not at all. But I don't understand why it should be white or black. It should be based off of whether or not the actor is good. Look at what they just did with Fantastic Four. They cast Johnny Storm, who in the comics has always been a Caucasian male. They cast an African-American actor, Michael B. Jordan, to play Johnny Storm. Not because they wanted to change things up. They cast Kate Mara, who is a Caucasian actress, to play his sister. And in the comics, they are blood siblings. They are from the same parents. So them changing it up has really nothing to do with whether or not they need to get a specific type of actor. They are looking for whoever fits the mold perfectly, regardless of race or color or anything like that. So the next Bond I could see being anybody. If I had to choose right now, I don't think that there would be a name. Well, one of the names that would pop up, but he's invested in another franchise, is Henry Cavill, who was our new Superman. He was actually, from what I've read online and what I've heard from other people, he was second in line behind Daniel Craig to be the new James Bond. Now, he would have been considerably younger because, as you know, Daniel Craig is I believe he's in his 40s, and Henry Cavill is now 30, I believe, right around 30. So it would have been a slightly younger role, but he's the one who I would choose right now out of anybody. Just because he would have the longevity of the franchise. When you're an older actor, eventually it gets to a point where you physically just can't do it. Some of them can, but physically they get to the point where they can't do it. One of the reasons why Robert Downey Jr. is not going to be returning for Iron Man after Avengers 2 and Avengers 3 is because he's just getting too old. He injured himself quite badly on the set of Iron Man 3, so he doesn't want to go through that. He's finding it tougher to keep in shape, and that just happens with these actors, so they want to make sure that they keep them a little bit younger. So we're not going to know for at least another, the follow-up to Skyfall, whatever they're going to call it, James Bond 24, will be coming out in November of 2015. So it's just over about a year and a half away. And then we got one more, which will probably be 2 to 3 years after that. So let's just say 5 years. About 5 years before we even hear the announcement of who's going to play the next Bond, let alone when the next Bond's going to be. So we've got some time on that, but I'm really excited for this follow-up. I think that Sam Mendes did a phenomenal job. John Logan wrote an amazing script that had lots of action, lots of character development, really made you feel for the characters. You got to understand more about Bond and about his motivations and stuff. So I'm really intrigued to see where they take this story further. The next story today, Adam McKay, the director of Anchorman and Anchorman 2 and other films such as Talladega Nights and Step Brothers, has come out and squashed the rumors. There will not be an Anchorman 3. Now, I've been saying this for a while. Look at Anchorman. Anchorman was a movie that came out in 2004. Anchorman was a hit. It is a really funny movie, probably one of the top 10 comedies of all time, and that's a debatable list. But Anchorman actually had a somewhat of a storyline that it followed. Even though it was primarily about the jokes, it had a storyline that it followed. And the jokes fit into that storyline. When watching Anchorman 2, it was the exact opposite. It was like they ham-fisted a storyline in there to fit these jokes that they wanted. They went a little bit more improv on the second one. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Um, some of those lines. I just spent the last half hour brushing my teeth with a live lobster. So, I mean, some of these jokes are really funny, but they don't serve the plot at all. And that was one thing that I took away from it when I saw Anchorman 2. Now, and looking at how Anchorman 2, it cost more to make than Anchorman 1 did. I don't believe that it made more than Anchorman 1. I think it made around the same. And obviously it's still going. They've just re-released in select theaters for 1 week only an R-rated alternate cut of the movie effective today. So I don't know if it's playing anywhere here up here in Canada. I haven't double checked yet, but I really want to check it out. I know it's going to be on the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is going to be coming out at some point in the middle of April. But he has come out and stated that they have no plans and he has no interest at all in doing an Anchorman 3, which I think is the right thing to do. Because first off, look at how long it took us to get Anchorman 2. By the time we get Anchorman 3, these guys are going to be in walkers. And I don't really want to see them doing their fight, their big showdown with all the other news anchors in space or something with walkers or with some kind of assistance because they are so old. I mean, you got to remember, Will Ferrell's now in his late 40s, early 50s. I think he's in his 40s. So by the time Anchorman 3 would get rolling around, he'd be in his late 50s. And what else can they tell with this story? What else can they do with Ron Burgundy outside of, again, just jokes? Which would be great for something like on Saturday Night Live. He's the type of character that would be great for that. I don't see Anchorman being like an Austin Powers where they can keep doing movies because Anchorman 2 relied too heavily on the improvised jokes. Especially considering they have a completely alternate take of this movie that's coming out to theaters, plus another alternate version of this movie on the Blu-ray. So they'll have the regular version, they'll have the unrated version, which is another cut, another series of jokes, and then they have the R-rated cut, which has over 760 new jokes. So with them coming out and saying that there's not another plan, that doesn't surprise me. I would like to see maybe something like what they did in This Is the End. If anyone has seen This Is the End, the movie is based around the actors kind of made up personas of themselves. So Jonah Hill plays Jonah Hill, but a wacky version of himself. Seth Rogen plays Seth Rogen, but a wacky version of himself. James Franco plays James Franco, and so on and so forth. But because they're trapped in their house, and pretty much all the same people who did Pineapple Express are just friends in real life, and they were in the movie. They filmed a mock-up of a sequel to Pineapple Express, just like a low-budget little thing, and they just did it in the movie. I could see them doing something like that with Anchorman. But I can't see them doing a third one. The Anchorman 2 didn't make enough. It was really funny. I didn't think it was as good as the first, but I thought it was really funny. But I would rather see a sequel to one of his other movies. I'd rather see Ricky Bobby come back and them do another one. He also, Adam McKay, the director, also came out and said that he doesn't see the possibility of a sequel to Step Brothers either, which was another movie that he directed. So he's just kind of opposed to sequels, I guess. He doesn't continue on with his characters. He likes to find something new. So I can appreciate that, absolutely. You always want to keep your creativity going. But it is kind of sad to hear that we're not going to get a sequel to a lot of these great comedies from the last 10 to 15 years, which is a shame. We did end up getting Anchorman 2, and I think we should be okay with that. Didn't do as well as they wanted to, so they're not going to move forward with a third one, which is a shame. Next piece of news is actually a bit of casting information. We got a couple of those today. The first one is with Marvel's Ant-Man. So Ant-Man is going to be the first film in Marvel's Phase 3. We know that Paul Rudd is signed on to play Scott Lang, who in the comics was the second version of Ant-Man. He was the second person. Hank Pym was the man who created the Ant-Man suit and the abilities that he has. And Hank Pym in the movie is actually going to be played by Michael Douglas, which is, I think that's amazing casting. They're separating the two characters, including them both. There's a possibility that they both may team up in the movie, both be Ant-Man at the same time and fight whoever the villain's going to be. but it also looks as though Evangeline Lilly, who played Toriel, the elf, the elven warrior in The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug and upcoming Hobbit There and Back Again. She was also on Lost. Michael Pena, who was in End of Watch, and he was also in Crash. He is also in talks to do another role, and Clifton Collins Jr. as well, who was in Pacific Rim. They are all reportedly in talks. Now, as of today, it looks as though Patrick Wilson from The Conjuring, from Insidious, from Watchmen, who is going to be playing an undisclosed role. So we don't exactly know who he's going to be playing or what level, whether or not it's going to be a character from the comics or if it's going to be a new character that they've created specifically for the movie. We really don't know yet, but I'm excited about this because I think Patrick Wilson is a very underrated actor. Anyone who has seen anything from Insidious to Watchmen and then to A-Team, like this guy has a lot of range. A lot of people rag on A-Team, and I don't know what it is about it. It's such an entertaining movie. Yes, it's a throw your mind at the door type of movie. It's not a smart movie. You don't have to think through it. You don't have to try to solve a puzzle while they are doing it on screen. It's mindless, entertaining fun, and it is so much fun. And you could tell he was having a blast. He was playing like a frat boy, but as like an FBI agent. And he just had a blast with it. And then you watch him in Watchmen, and he's playing a really subdued character who's haunted by his past. And then you watch him in Insidious and The Conjuring, where he's dealing with supernatural elements. Like, he's got a lot of range. So him working alongside or acting alongside such talents as Paul Rudd, as Michael Douglas, Michael Pena, I think that's a great addition to the cast. I'm really looking forward to this movie. It's another risk. Marvel is balancing their risks with the Avengers. It's almost like they're saying, well, if for whatever reason, and they don't want this to happen, but if these movies fail, the one in the middle will pay for both of them because they have Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a risk because no one's heard of that. Trailer was amazing. We covered that last week's episode, but not as many people know what that is. And so then they followed that up with Avengers 2, Avengers Age of Ultron. And then the next one after that is Ant-Man. So untested properties on either side of Avengers. And most likely they're going to follow that up with Thor 3, Captain America 3, and then probably Doctor Strange, and then Avengers 3. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about doing this. Ant-Man will hit theaters July 17th, 2015. As more casting announcements and new photos and stuff like that come out about the film, I will be updating about it. Really looking forward to this movie. I'm getting to the point now where I'm hating hearing about these movies so far in advance because you get so excited about them and then it takes forever to come out. Godzilla being probably the biggest example that I can think of. They did some test footage and showed it at Comic-Con, not last year, but the year before. I believe in 2012, no, it'd be in 2011 that they would have shown the first teaser footage for that movie. And that teaser footage, much like what they did with Tron sequel, this teaser footage actually got the movie greenlit. It got enough buzz generated about it that the studio said, okay, we're going to give you a shot. And they wrote the script, put the movie into production, filmed it. Now they're about to release the movie. So it feels like it's been forever coming out. And now we're only getting some little bits of information. I hope that's not the same with Ant-Man. Marvel's usually pretty good with their movies. They let stuff out early in advance, but not enough so that it spoils the movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go from here. But I'm really excited about this movie, and I hope they do it justice because I really want Marvel to start grabbing at all of their untested properties. I want to see some unique and weird properties come into theaters. I'm sick and tired of every phase just being a sequel to a movie we already know and a character we already know. Introduce some of these new characters so that they can have the big Avengers mashup with all the Avengers team, and then maybe even Guardians of the Galaxy, and maybe even get the Inhumans to come in. You know, which is basically another Marvel set of characters like the X-Men, but that Marvel owns. And we know that they do have plans for an Inhumans movie. They are planning on doing it. We just have no idea when. And how well these other movies do will determine when that movie comes out. If these movies do really well, it could either come out a lot sooner because they see that there's a lot of hope for these untested properties, or they may push it back because they see, okay, these guys are doing well, we're going to do Ant-Man 2, we're going to do Guardians 2, and we're going to get these guys out the door. We're also going to get Black Panther going because they do need to get him going before they get anybody else. Doctor Strange and Black Panther need to be out the door before any of these other new characters come out. But I need them to expand their universe. That they need to get away from the core group because from everything that we've been hearing, It looks as though one of the Avengers may end up dying in Avengers 2, so we're going to need someone to replace them. I'd love for Sony to be able to say, here, have Spider-Man for a movie. That'd be kind of cool, but they won't do that. That'll just cost too much money, too much red tape. So, I'll stop rambling about Marvel right now, and we're going to move on to another topic. This next topic is Johnny Depp's new movie called Black Mass, which is a biopic of the gangster James Whitey Bulger. Is being produced. It's being directed by Scott Cooper, who just recently did Out of the Furnace, the Christian Bale, Woody Harrelson revenge movie, which I thought was awesome. That movie was just tense, especially that opening sequence. That's just unnerving. But this movie's had a little bit of troubled history. Johnny Depp was actually signed on to play this character about a year and a half ago, I believe, when director Barry Levinson was on board. Barry Levinson ended up dropping out due to scheduling conflicts or conflict of interest or anything of that sort. And Johnny Depp ended up leaving the project too, and so it was kind of up in the air as to what was going on. And at the time, Joel Edgerton was also signed on to play the co-lead, which his name is, I'm just looking it up here, John Connolly. And John Connolly, he was his childhood friend, Whitey Bulger's childhood friend, and they ended up separating for a while, and then they came back to meet again as adults. But when they met as adults, Connolly was a very high-level FBI agent, and Bulger at the time was pretty much the godfather of the Irish mob in South Boston. So they really had a conflict or a conflict at odds with one another. So it's going to be interesting to see these two guys go against one another. But as soon as Scott Cooper signed on, which was a couple of months ago, Johnny Depp started circling the project again, and he really liked what he was seeing. He liked the direction that Scott Cooper was going to take it, and he also saw that Joel Edgerton was considering signing on to play it. So that really got him to lock himself in. Then Joel Edgerton just signed on to play the role. So this movie is going to start filming within the next month or two, and it's going to be released on October 15th. So the one hesitation I have is the last time that Johnny Depp played a character like this, we got Public Enemies. And I don't know, Public Enemies, to me at least, is a movie where you either love it or you hate it. I was not a fan. I found it excruciatingly boring. I didn't think that it had very interesting characters in it. I felt that Johnny Depp's character, especially outside of the one sequence where he breaks out of the prison, he didn't really show a lot of emotion. So I didn't really have a care for that movie all that much. Michael Mann directed it as well, which that just really surprised me that it was that poor of a film. And I have reservations coming into this property, and I hope that I'm wrong, because Cooper is a phenomenal director. Anyone who's seen Out of the Furnace or even Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges knows that he's an accomplished director. He can bring a lot out of his actors. He's not also going to work on a project that has an inadequate script. So that was the one problem I felt with Public Enemies. Out of everything, the script was the weakest point, and you can only do so much when you have a weak script. So I don't see this being the case. Really interested to see these two actors go head-to-head on screen. They're both phenomenal, and Egerton is really showing that he is becoming an A-lister. He's a name to look out for because he's a qualified actor. Anyone who's seen Warrior knows what I'm talking about. So again, the movie is going to be start filming about, I think they said about 4 to 6 weeks, and it's going to be released on October 15th, 2015. So be on the lookout for that movie, and when we get more information about it, I will be covering it here on the show. And our final topic, this one's another one that's pulled out of the weird hat. So Paul Feig, who directed Bridesmaids, and he directed The Heat, the great action comedy with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy last year. He's doing a new movie with Melissa McCarthy called Susan Cooper. And Susan Cooper is about an unconventional spy who teams up with another spy to try to bring down an organization. Melissa McCarthy's playing the unconventional spy, and they just signed on to play her co-lead. They just signed Jason Statham to play the other spy. Now, Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham being next to one another in a screen or on screen as a buddy cop duo, that is awesome casting. That, I think, has got to be one of the best casting announcements I've heard. Anyone who doesn't know, Statham is actually a very well-timed comedic actor. Anyone who's seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch knows that he can deliver laughs when he needs to. But he does it with the same straight-faced, straight man look that he has in almost all of his movies. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays off of Melissa McCarthy. And I have a feeling that they're going to butt heads at the beginning, he's not going to get along with her, and then all of a sudden they're going to team up, and they're going to find each other's strengths, and they're going to find the things they like about one another, as they always do in those types of movies. Just look at The Heat. And then they're going to team up, and they're going to go against this organization. So I think it's going to be hilarious. Can't wait to see some footage about this movie. It'll be released May of 2015. I don't believe they have a specific date yet, but this movie is going to be on my top 10 looking forward to of next year, that's saying a lot. If anyone knows anything about what we have coming up in 2015 for movies, having something like this on the top 10 list is impressive. You got to look at, we have Jurassic World, or Jurassic Park 4. We have Star Wars Episode 7. We have the next James Bond film. Up until recently, we had Batman vs. Superman. That was since pushed back to 2016. But we have Avengers 2. There's the Fantastic Four. And countless other movies that I can't even remember off the top of my head. Ant-Man. Ant-Man's another one that we got coming out. Black Mass. Like, a lot of these high-profile films, the final Hunger Games is going to be released in 2015. So it's a powerhouse of a year for film. So them releasing a movie like this in the middle of that summer movie season, I think is a stroke of genius. I am super excited to see this movie, especially with Paul Feig directing it, Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham teaming up as spies to take down another organization. I think is awesome casting. Cannot wait to see some stuff about this movie, so I'm really looking forward to it. Well, that'll about do it for us here at Coming Soon, Movie News with Nicholson. I'm your host. Don't forget to click the subscribe button at the bottom of the page so you guys can get updates on any point in time when I upload another video. And also make sure you follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Nicholson, Niklsun. Make sure that you follow me on Twitter so that you can get the updates on all related movie news as it comes out, because I will be tweeting that as it comes out. So without any further ado, my name is Nicholson. You guys have been great. You enjoy your day. Take care.